Welcome back, gang. In our last video we continued the cabinet making process of our project. Got those somewhat situated, got a few of them in place, and then figured out it didn't quite work like I thought it was going to, so we had to do a little bit of rearranging, a little more configuring, but then we got things worked out. So before we get started with our next phase of the project, I had to take a little time in the shop and get things reorganized. I think it's Stephen Covey once said, if you're hacking your way through the forest, you got to keep your machete sharp. So took a day off to get that done and then back at it. So here we go. Today in the shop I have a little bit of reworking to do. I stopped and got some lumber, and I need to rebuild my cutting bench over here. As you can see, all my tables are set up to move around the shop wherever I need, because depending on what project I have going on, I just rearrange everything. Not to mention, I have a very unlevel floor, so anything on wheels has a tendency not to want to stay in one place. So it's a bit unlevel, and in a really bad rain, I'll get a small little puddle of a river running through here. So what my plan is to redo this bench over here. I'm going to make it all slotted, a cutting bench, so all the sawdust falls through it. I had one I used to carry in the back of my truck when I did miles of siding for tract homes and cut all day long, and I could just unfold it, cut all day, fold it back up and put it right in the back of the truck. So that's what I'm going to use this material for, and I will slap that together and get that going. Another day of shop maintenance. Project done. It's a great cutting table. I love this thing. I used to have one before that I carried with me because it's easy, it's lightweight, you can pick it up, move it easily, and all the sawdust and everything comes through it, just falls through. And so I make little trays right here to kind of hold all my tools. All the sawdust falls through on the corner. I can clamp it down to a bench. I can clamp down my work material. I can move my work material all over the table without it pushing all my tools off the table. So I've been thinking about making one for a while, but I thought, yeah, I got a lot of cutting to do, so I'm just going to do that again. So it's funny, the tables all have a purpose, you know. I got my little, just a staging table over here that I can move anywhere in the shop that I can just kind of lay stuff out. And then we come around here and I have my cutting table now that all my sawdust can fall through so it doesn't get in the way of everything, and my tools and my cutting stuff is just right there. And then there's nothing better than a good old solid core door for an assembly table. That thing is nice and flat. Then I just drill some holes in there to use for my anchors. I can use all that stuff. But it always amazes me, some of these remodel jobs I do, these people are taking out old, solid, expensive, hard or solid core doors and then putting in a 6-panel hollow core door in it just to upgrade it. But these old things, I never throw them away. They're great. And then you just have the old beams over here to hold up. They make a great painting area and just kind of collect all the stuff there. So every table has its purpose and everything's able to rearrange and move out of the way. And so now I'm ready to get back to work Monday. I think we're gonna get started on some of the aluminum, the 80/20, and start rearranging all that stuff for the cabinets there. I'm on my way into the Twin Cities to pick up some 80/20 material so we can get started on some of the cabinet work. I'm just at a standstill figuring out how exactly I'm gonna make these cabinets without this material, because I need to find the right brackets and the right, either the wood or the vinyl or what material I'm gonna use on the outside for this. So after I get this picked up and brought home, maybe we'll get that figured out tomorrow. We made it back from the Twin Cities, picking up our 80/20, and show you how we start working with this stuff. This is basically just an aluminum profile where you can add all sorts of parts and pieces, and they've got everything from drawers to latches to panels to angles into pieces. And what it is, here's a little piece, it's just kind of grooved aluminum that you can insert nuts and bolts into, and also put angles and parts, and you can start just putting these pieces together in any configuration you can imagine. So like I said, it's basically a big erector set, and in fact I was so impressed with it, I decided to get a little set of it for my grandson for Christmas. They have a little starter set, so in my thoughts I thought he might be a little engineer in the making. Who knows? Maybe he wants to be a barista or a tattoo artist. Whatever, it's all good. It's all good. But I kind of got sold on this stuff from another website I was looking at. My friend George over at Humble Road using some of this for his cabinetry work. And I thought, man, that makes a lot of sense to use for the upper cabinets because it's so light and versatile. I still am bouncing back and forth with the wood or the aluminum for the lower cabinets. I just like the look and feel of the wood, I really do. And the aluminum just has a really industrial look to it. But if you can integrate the both of them, I could use the aluminum for some of the framework and still have a wood feel, wood panel that attaches to it for the ends and the other structure. That might be my solution to some of the problems. Like I said, for the backs, the benches, stuff like that, the wood I think is going to be fine. When it comes to some of the cabinets and especially the uppers, the weight of the aluminum and the versatility of it, I think is really gonna do well. Here's a scrap piece of countertop that I make. You make for kitchen cabinets. And this is a typical construction. You've got some particle board down here. You got the Formica on top. It's a great durable finish. I like to finish it up with a wood trim and then router the edge. That way you can't get your finger underneath the edge of that Formica and start to peel up. If you've ever had one of those kitchen countertops that wants to do that, you know what I mean. So I like this finish for some of the product. The only thing is I don't want to use any particle board. If you've ever moved a piece of IKEA furniture, a bookshelf or anything you bought that has this particle board in it, you know what I mean. Everywhere the screws go in, it just explodes and falls apart. And I can't imagine using it in a van where you've got constant movement going on. Not to mention any water, moisture, anything like that. This stuff just explodes. So it's just not good for that. But the Formica is a good product. You can put it over a lot of different surfaces, and it has a ton of different looks and feels and options. So I'm really looking into that. Here we go, more stuff. Gotta admit, fun part about this van build is every day's like Christmas. I get stuff every day. So, all right, we got a faucet, sprayer. That looks really nice. And so I'm assuming I've got a sink here. Let's see how this is. Let's see. That feels like it. Heavy enough. There we go. Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be nice. Let me tell you a little bit about the sink choices that went on with this. This is the second sink that I purchased for this. The first one I got was a Dometic sink that sat down in here and had a lid that closed down on top of it, which made for a nice smooth surface. And the faucet hardware and everything was stored, so it was a nice flat surface. Unfortunately, when you lift that thing up, the sink is only about 6 inches deep. The faucet didn't have any reach on it, and it just looked like a very useless appliance, and I couldn't imagine trying to get a water bottle in there and fill it up. So I found this thing online, and I absolutely love it. The one thing I told myself is I didn't want stainless steel. I hate stainless steel. I hate cleaning it. It gets spots all over it. And it just has a real thin, tinny sound to it. In fact, all the kitchen remodels I've done over the years, I try to always convince people to go with a good porcelain steel sink. You know, they're heavy, but they clean up well. They're indestructible, but I didn't want that kind of weight in the van. So I ended up going with this, and I can't remember what this stuff's called. It just slips my mind right now. But it's very durable. It's gonna clean up easily, and it just looks awesome, and it's got some depth to it that I really like. So I've got plenty of room for depth there, for getting a water bottle under there. And then the faucet, that's gonna be awesome. I'll fit right there, and I'll be able to use a sprayer on it. So I can't wait to get that going. So as I sit here going over my cabinetry drawings, what I'm going to use to build and exactly what size it's going to be, it's becoming more and more clear that I just can't really progress without having some more measurements. So I can see how I want to do it, but until I get these exact positions of this stuff, it's not going to it's just not going to work for me. So here's the deal. I got on the phone, called up, and found a place that has a Ford Transit van that they can rent me for the weekend. And I'm going to go pick that thing up tomorrow and get that in here to where I can take all these parts and pieces, put them inside the van, and figure out exactly what I need to do. I'm going to have to trim off some of the edges of the benches here on each side. And then I got to figure out how big of a space I actually have between the cabinet bench there, or the cabinet, just the cabinet and the bench here. Same with the other side. And I need to know exactly what that stuff is before I can proceed. So what I need to do is go to the lumber yard and get the foam for the floor. I need to get the plywood for the floor. I need to get that brought in here. I need to get the van here and put all that stuff in there, put all these pieces in there. And then I can start moving forward. I can get the exact measurements I want, and then I can take all of this stuff and transfer it into the final wood that I'm going to use for this and start getting everything cut out for a final phase.